Hey there, welcome back to my channel. My name is Olaitan and this is Dearlulebi, where we talk about all things motherhood, fashion, lifestyle, and everything in between as we navigate postpartum life together. So I'm doing this series right now on the first 9 months of pregnancy, really a crash course on first, second, third trimester, and then the first year of postpartum life, which was something that I was looking for, kind of someone that was going through it with me. So it felt like I had a friend that was experiencing the same things or similar things, but going through the same experience of pregnancy and first year motherhood alongside me. One of the reasons that I started this series was because most of my friends gave birth much earlier in life and I much later. And so by the time that I was going through it, they were just like, I don't remember that. I don't know what I was feeling at that time. And so it was just helpful to have someone going through the same thing. If you hear any cries, whining, moaning in the background, my son is here joining us for this video. All right, so one of the things that they tell you is happening to you in the second trimester is that you're still feeling that dizziness, you're still feeling quite nauseous, you're still feeling really bloated. All of those things are kind of still happening, although they should be decreasing, because the second trimester, I call it sexy second. It really is your best trimester. I felt my sexiest, my skin looked its best, my hair felt its thickest. I felt like I was thriving, not just surviving, by the second trimester. I did not feel as bloated. I also didn't have like breakouts. There weren't any dark patches on my skin. I still had those little bumps kind of under the skin, but they weren't pimples. They never grew any larger, but they were kind of still there. And then the scarring that I had from maybe past breakouts or anything like that kind of still were there. But overall, like when I'd wash my face, I felt like my skin was glowing. I felt like I was doing pretty well. I could still fit into some of my pre-pregnancy clothing. Could eat anything and everything, and I did. What else did I experience? This is the trimester that you can find out your baby's sex, that you see kind of more concrete image of a baby when you go for your scans. We chose to not find out the sex of our baby. Let me tell you, in Nigeria, that is the most difficult secret to keep, because the doctors, the techs, everyone wants to tell you, because everyone gets so excited. So in Nigeria, most people want to know what the sex of their baby is. So the doctors are not only eager to tell you, but they're accustomed to telling you. We did not want to find out the sex of our baby, so I think it was really difficult for the doctors and the techs to keep it a secret as well. But they tried. We actually did not find out legitimately until the day that I gave birth in the delivery room. But I suspected that it could have been a boy before they announced it in the delivery room once he was born. I think that they just do, maybe they're just more accustomed to people wanting to be surprised on delivery day. So they're used to kind of waiting in the Western world. So in the States, once we got here, it was just much easier for people to they would ask you initially. They would ask you at the beginning of your appointment, do you want to know the sex of the baby? When you say no, they would put that in your record and would make sure that they didn't tell you the sex. In fact, during some of my scans, the tech would tell me, turn your head so that, just so you don't see anything. And I would turn my head while we did the entire scan. So it was much easier. I think people are just used to it. This is also the trimester where you find out if you have any complications or if you need a C-section. You just start planning for pregnancy. So I had a fibroid. I can do a whole nother video on fibroids and just that experience. I might have some guests because I think that my experience is a bit more uncommon, and so some of my friends might have experiences that are more common for more women. Anyhow, so fibroids are quite common among Black women, African American women, women in the diaspora overall. So it's not an uncommon, unlikely thing. Most women will experience something like a fibroid, no matter how small, at some point in their lifetime. So the goal is just, most doctors just try to keep an eye on it. One of the things that I enjoyed about being in Nigeria is that in the States, fibroids and conditions like that are common to minority populations in the States, such as Black people, is not uncommon in Africa, right? In Nigeria, the population is 99% Black. And so because of that, they just have so many more success stories of fibroids, and how they've been successfully removed, how women have lived with them for decades, how women have been able to conceive and give birth with fibroids for decades. They've just, even fibroids that are in the most interesting, intricate, difficult to remove locations. And so because of that, doctors, especially my doctor, just had much more insight, and she was less alarmist about the whole thing. But that being said, we still decided to go the path of a C-section because it would have been difficult to give birth to my baby naturally based on where the fibroid was. It might not have been impossible, but we got 3 or 4 opinions, and we had a high-risk pregnancy specialist and OB that we dealt with the entire time, in addition to my regular OB. The best path would have been C-section. So if you're going to be a C-section mama, we'll talk about that when it comes to the delivery portion of this video. But don't fret, don't be afraid. God is with you. Just trust him with every aspect of the process. Do your research, get second and third opinions, and talk to other women that you know that might have had C-sections. I'm one, I'm happy to share. Leave questions in the comment section and I'll reply to them, or DM me on Instagram at Dearlulebi. Happy to share as much as makes sense for your situation. The other thing that happens in the second trimester is you start to experience more interesting cravings. So I think my cravings would be things that I generally had, like ice cream, but maybe I would crave ice cream or yogurt like for a week straight every day, and I would eat it every day. Or I'd have cravings for like crackers, like those saltine crackers every day, and I would eat them every day for a week, or a mango a day for a week. Just things like that, things that I was used to eating, but just wanting them more often and in excessive amounts. So that was another thing. Something else that you'll experience in the second trimester are Braxton Hicks contractions. So they're essentially those cramps that you might have been feeling maybe in the first trimester, but more intensified. And they really are just your body's way of preparing for birth, preparing your uterus for birth, for delivery, and what it will feel like to have real contractions and to be ready to go into labor. It's kind of like a practice run. So they're short, might be a little bit longer sometimes, but more often than not, they're pretty short. They come and like a wave, they're gone. Another thing that you'll experience in the second trimester that I really enjoyed, I did not enjoy the Braxton Hicks as much, but I really enjoyed quickening. So quickening is like a fluttering in your stomach. It kind of feels like someone's tapping your thigh really quickly or tapping your tummy really quickly. And it's basically the baby moving, right? Doing little kicks. And the baby's just not weighty enough, heavy enough, and doesn't have as much strength for the kicks to be visible in the exterior of your tummy, and it's also not strong enough for you to feel it intensely like you will later on in the third trimester. But it's really great once you feel them. I think at first I thought it was indigestion. I think maybe then the next time that it happened, I thought it was just gas. And then it became more frequent later on in the second trimester. And then I realized like, oh, I think this is quickening. And it was just really exciting. I would touch my tummy. I'd want my husband to touch it, and he just couldn't feel it at that point. Later on he was able to, but at that point he just couldn't tell. So it essentially felt like this little secret bonding experience that I got to share personally with my baby, and it just felt so wonderfully intimate. So I hope that you get to experience that, and I hope that you notice it when it starts happening as well. It really is magical. I think that's the best word for it, magical. Another thing that I continued to experience in the second trimester was heartburn and indigestion. It still was there. It changed a bit during this trimester, so whenever I laid down, I would feel it that much more intensely. Usually I would prop some pillows up and I would just sit up. And I had friends tell me that, you know, in their second trimester and third trimester for some, they felt the indigestion just really intensely. It was really uncomfortable. Some couldn't even sleep, and they would just prop all their pillows up and basically sleep sitting upright. And so that was kind of my experience at certain points in the second trimester. I would just sleep sitting upright until kind of the wave of indigestion passed. The other thing I experienced during the second trimester was a little bit more interest in walking again. My walks were able to be, I would say, kind of medium between a casual leisure walk and a brisk walk. So it was really exciting to be able to go back to that and just feel like I was, you know, taking care of my body, taking care of my baby. My husband and I started doing like prayer walks during that time, and just really trying to stay faithful and prayerful for ourselves, for the baby, for just all of the changes that my body was going through, all of the things that he was thinking and feeling and preparing to become a father. Hopefully one day he'll be able to join and we can do a series on preparing for parenthood and just share our experience. He has been a phenomenal father. I'm so impressed in so many ways. And I always knew that he would be a great father because I've seen him with so many children, but it's just different when you're experiencing it in real life, day to day. Maybe we'll do a video about that. I continue to experience some breast tenderness at this point as well. Not the same level as the first trimester, but just some of the tenderness and discomfort that comes from just your breast growing. I definitely felt that I needed to change my bra size in this trimester. My breasts were getting larger as to be expected. I was gaining weight, of course, as to be expected. Not so much in the beginning of the second trimester, definitely more in the last month of the second trimester. Some people get dizziness, some people have leg cramping, some people continue to have that white milky discharge from their vaginal area. I did not experience that anymore. Some people continue to experience headaches. I did not have that. Some people get really bad congestion, and that is a common symptom. So I did have some congestion at different points in time during my second trimester, but there was maybe a week where it was really bad. And I had some girlfriends that did recall that symptom, and they had it intensely. I remember even hearing them just with the intensity of the congestion. So some people have some symptoms more severely than others. Some people don't have some symptoms at all. Each body is unique. Each pregnancy is different. You might experience it with your first child, not experience it with your second or third child, or experience, symptom A with all the children. Then the last thing that I would say about the second trimester, especially when it comes to the Braxton Hicks and the cramps, is that sometimes sex can exacerbate it. So sex with your partner, in my case, my husband, sometimes that would kind of bring on a Braxton Hicks contraction, and I just had to be wary of that. And afterwards, just have to take a walk, kind of change positions and all of that. And that would be really helpful. Might be TMI, but again, someone needs to talk about it. And I'm assuming that you're watching this video for information and what to anticipate, the same way that I watched videos like this during my pregnancy. So I hope that all of this was helpful. I'm really grateful that you stopped by and you tuned in. If you stayed this long, please subscribe so that you can follow along the rest of the series. Tell a friend, tell a fashion friend, tell a mom friend, or anyone that you think would find this content useful. And again, it was wonderful to have you. I'll see you at the next video. Bye.